of you. Yes, beautiful morning with a beautiful soul. Thank you, Pratiksha Seth. Shreyu, good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, Pallavi. Good morning, Sandhya. Good morning, Divya. Sonali, I am possessive about people. If I see them talk to anyone else or give someone else importance, I feel hurt and I step back, be it my husband, my mother-in-law or anyone. How can I work on this? Interesting question, Sonali, because I'm thinking there's nothing wrong in being possessive about the people that we love. So it's actually, possessiveness is an indication of your love. So own the part that yes, I am a possessive person. Nothing wrong with that. But then logically work yourself through intelligently in your mind of this emotion. So when I feel possessive, what should I do about it? All right. So that's a question you can ask yourself, that how can I process it, right? So one of the things I do is I like to see why am I comparing myself to this other person? Are we even on equal status? If my husband, he has only one wife, correct? So hopefully he has only one wife, which means I am the most important person. I remember at one point my mother had said this to me, that I used to tend to get jealous of his ex-girlfriends. So if he told me something about his ex-girlfriend, I used to feel very possessed about him, even though I was not even in his life at that point of time. So what was I reacting to, even I don't know. So I had to logically make sense. So my mom said this, that you know what, Pooja, they didn't get him. You got him. Look at the reality of the situation. That the person who got the diamond, let's say you wanted something that is substantially materialistic. So the person who got the diamond is worried about who all owned this diamond before, rather than being so proud of the fact that this diamond is yours to own forever now. And I said, oh, that's so true, Mom. And so like that, I like to make sense of whatever my possessiveness feels like. If I can start to make sense of it. Let's say my husband is, doing something where I feel like I should be possessive about him. Let's say we go to a party and he's flirting with another girl. It's totally okay to be possessive about that. Maybe I'm not comfortable with that. Maybe there is something I want to say. And every relationship has its range of what is okay and what is not okay. Maybe I'm okay with him flirting. Maybe I'm not okay with him messaging. Maybe I'm okay with him messaging, but I'm not okay with him meeting. Maybe I'm okay with him meeting, but I'm not okay with him. And you have to, between the couple, decide that, right? So that's one angle of possessiveness. Another angle of possessiveness is that anybody you love, you want to own. Okay, now that can get into unhealthy possessiveness, right? So my mother-in-law has 3 daughter-in-laws. There's no way I can remain possessive about her because she likes to love us 3 equally, which is only fair for her to do so. So I created a story when my new sister-in-laws were coming in. So I'm the oldest. And when my new sister-in-laws were coming in, I created a story. I'm a Kanjivaram sari. Okay. And they are the new sari. Maybe my mother-in-law will love the new sari because it's brand new. But I am the older, more treasured, valuable one. It's a story I have to tell, right? They can tell the same story to themselves. So I have no issues with that. It's whatever convinces you. So I said, you know what? In life, we have things in our cupboard that we totally value, and there are things in the cupboard that come and go. And the newness of something can be more exciting sometimes than even the most expensive jewelry set. Maybe I picked up these earrings yesterday, I want to wear them today because I'm more excited about them than the solitaires that are lying in my cupboard, right? So like that, the stories you tell can calm you down. So I'd love for you to start to create stories around the fact where you prioritize your own value in your own head, in your own story. Okay. And sometimes I like to ask myself that, you know what, if someone belonged only to me, that would be a lot of responsibility on me. So a few times in my life, I know that I have enjoyed sharing someone with someone because I feel like, when I started to do life coaching, I had to go to America like almost 5 times. And I had to leave my little children with my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law. And they, of course, were very close. They used to stay on the same floor. And I was totally okay with it because for me, this was such a huge advantage to have the mother-in-law, sister-in-law looking after my babies that I said, you know what, if the price for my studying or working is going to be them being close, I think that's a wonderful price that I'm paying, because you know what? In the bargain, I'm also in some form getting benefited, right? So sometimes in life, what we do is we look at what the minus is, but we forget to notice what and how we are gaining from it. Okay, so let's say you're getting possessive about your mother-in-law because she has a daughter that she is very close to, or she has another daughter-in-law who she's very close to. I'd love for you to start to look at, okay, there are some parts with your mother-in-law that you have a connection on. There are some parts you would have had to do had the sister-in-law not shown interest. So it's so fabulous that, you know what, in some ways you're getting to share joint responsibility, and that way everything is not on you. Like this is all storytelling to take yourself or return yourself back to your peace. The most important thing an awakened, evolved soul does is to make sense of the world by taking yourself or returning yourself back to peace. So whenever something is happening as a situation in your life where you are feeling like this is not totally going according to me, see if you can intellectually come up with, okay, what's the silver lining around this cloud? Okay, she's going on a holiday. Let's say your mother-in-law is going on a holiday with some people that you are jealous of, right? So what story can you land up giving to yourself so that instead of feeling possessive, you can actually start to feel either happy for her or in some way happy for yourself. I'm going to get some privacy and private time with my own spouse, right? So you have to start to look for what's the benefit. What's the benefits in this situation? What's the benefit? Jealousy is a feedback mechanism that you are feeling, wanting to control someone's energy or someone's because of your love for them. Once you understand that, okay, it's a feedback mechanism, now you can start to go, okay, but there is always a benefit in them being with someone else also. What benefit can I create out of this situation? My husband loves to play golf. Another thing I love doing is that, you know what, whenever he's playing golf, in my head I'm thinking, if he comes back home happy, if I support him in something that gives him happiness, I will get a happier husband at home. I may get less of his time, but I will get good quality time because he will be happier because he would have done something that makes him happy. Who wants a grumpy old man at home? I would rather have a smiling, sweet guy. Correct or no? So what am I doing? I can focus on you don't give me time, or I can focus on he's so much happier when he's with me, when he's played golf. Wherever I put my focus is what will start to grow. That's what I have seen, that whatever I will tell him, if I tell him, oh, I love it that you play golf, he will start to think of me also in a happy way, because when I encourage him to like something that he likes, then he puts me on his side rather than versus. What's going to happen with your possessiveness a lot of times is you'll become versus the person. So all the time, people will either have to lie to you or defend themselves or give you false stories or tell you they love you more. And all of this nautanki will be required to pacify your possessiveness. My suggestion, it's totally okay to feel possessive, and it's totally okay to intellectually handle it. Yeah? All right, let's go to why is my screen not moving? Yes. Pratiksha, be so secure in your relationship that you feel we belong and connect in a way no one else can, more than the feeling of being possessive. Pratiksha is also giving you some advice. All right, yes. You know, the thing is, we say things like this, be so secure. If she knew how to, she would. The problem is a lot of us don't know how to. You know, when you tell someone, don't get angry, let it go, be calm. If they could, they would, I promise you. The problem is that you have to tell them something that they can practically do to move from that situation, right? Shrujana, hi Puja, my passion and purpose is becoming a coach. Since 1 year, consuming information, taking my family's responsibility. When I will become consumer to creator? You know, the reason I am smiling is because I feel like your consumption and creation should be something that should be going hand in hand. Yes, in the beginning, the consumption may be more, creation may be less, but it cannot be completely off. So if you haven't yet started creating, my suggestion to you is from today itself, you should be a creator. Rather consume to create. Don't consume to sit on it. Because what you consumed a year ago will not remain relevant if you don't land up using it, sharing it, doing something about it, then that is just something that will be hidden in your subconscious or somewhere in your brain that you won't even have access to if you don't use it soon, right? So I'm going to highly recommend to you, every single day, look at creating something. Create a challenge one day, create your social media posts one day, create some reels one day, create a course one day. Keep creating, because creating, when you are the product, you have to build a library of creation. Okay, every day you should be looking at which part of my library am I filling today. The short form library, the long form library, the paid content, the unpaid content. There is just so much to do that there is no end. So do not sit like a consumer, start becoming a creator, Meri Jaan. What's your lipstick brand and shade? Very pretty color. I don't wear one lipstick ever. So this is a red underneath, and then there is a beige on top, which has got mixed and formed into whatever color it has formed into. The red is a Charlotte Tilbury and the beige on top is a MAC. Let me see if I can get you the colors and share it. Oh, thank you. Love you, Puja. Love your ring. Why is today my screen is not working. There is some issue with the screen. Okay, Amita is asking, how to not feel anxious when my spouse is getting close to those relatives who only are after his money, but he doesn't like to accept that. So Amita, for many years, I tried to protect my own husband from the people I thought that are not good for him, till I realized that somewhere we are undermining the wisdom and the adulthood of our own man. When you start to believe you know better, you're actually in some ways being condescending and contemptuous of the person. Instead, rather, I would like you to leave it like a warning, okay? Where you can just let the person know that, you know what, I find this person extremely money-minded. Do you also feel like they're after your money? So when it comes to relationship with money, just be careful around these people, because I find them a little bit like that. And then let him get as close as he likes, and trust the fact that, you know what, he is also an adult. To the level that you could have gotten involved, you've gotten involved. But these are his relatives, and he needs to decide how he wants to deal with him. Just the way you should be deciding how you deal with your relatives. You know, when a spouse gets too involved in the relatives of the other and starts to protect them from their own relatives, it's like us coming in and thinking and believing we know better. We should be slightly careful about that. I remember once I went to my dad and I told him this, that, you know what, Dad, you know, Puneet is going to get taken for granted badly because he's just a really good soul, and there's this person who's really, like, you know, not the bestest person to be in his energy, and I feel like he's going to take him for granted and all of that. And my dad said something very nice. He said, Pooja, don't change the good people of the world for the bad people of the world. You know what, being taken for granted is not such a bad thing if that's his choice. He knows what kind of person he is. He can see what the other person is doing, yet he's choosing to be that way because that helps him remain in his peace. If he tried to be like that person, if he tried to take revenge, if he tried to match the energy of the other person, he will become that person. What do you prefer, your husband the way he is, or do you want him to be the way, you know, the other person is? And I said, no, I definitely want him to be the way he is. So I'd love for you to start to look at, you know what, start to let your husband know like a warning, but don't try to become his bodyguard. Okay, so treat him like a intelligent adult, just the way you would like him to treat you when you are being surrounded by people that he doesn't think are the most amazing. Yeah. Shweta, how to balance coaching and parenting and family, feeling like overdoing it in the coaching work? So Shweta, I'm not a big believer of balance itself. Having said that, I am a big believer of harmony, which means anytime I realize I'm overdoing something, then I go to do something else. So if I feel like I'm overworking, then as soon as I can, I will bring in my social life, I will bring in my party life, I'll bring in my family life. And if I feel like I'm overdoing, like right now it's Diwali, right? So 17th, I'm going to stop working, and then I'm going to just be, enjoying Diwali. And I know that by the time Diwali comes, 1st November, I would have so overdosed on social life that I'm going to be running back to my work, right? And so I want you to look at these different periods more like an orchestra, which means not all the instruments play together. Sometimes one instrument plays, then second another, but they have what we create in life called melody. So you want melody in your life. When you go on a holiday, try to not think about work. When you are working, try to not think about family. What we'll end up doing is the opposite. At work, we are guilty for the children. When we go to the children, we are busy on our phone, and we are actually not present anywhere because we are so anxious about building this balance. So on the contrary, I'm going to ask you, unless you're already very good at it, see if you can start to do little but do 100%. Be more present with whatever it is that you're doing. If I love playing cards in Diwali. When I'm playing cards, I'm not attending to my work. When I am working, I'm only working, I'm not this thing. So I try my level best to just be present so that I can give my 100%, so that I start to feel satisfied. A lot of time, 2 hours of good amount of work is far more satisfying than sitting 8 hours and doing the work half, like half-heartedly. So I'd love for you to start to create a structure. One of the structures I have created in my life is that I make Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays super heavy at work, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is easier for my health, for my self-love, for my meditations, for my weekends, for my family. So I've divided the week in a manner where 3 days are heavy work and 4 days are life. And that balance has worked really well for me. But that if you look at my life, you will feel that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, she's doing too much. But it's basically in the orchestra of life. My piano is playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then my harp is playing on Friday. Then my flute is playing on Saturday. And I've divided the week in a way that it remains interesting rather than me getting burnt out because of the excessiveness of something that I'll end up doing. So be careful about not being too excessive. There is always a period in our life where excessive obsession around career is what gets our career's momentum started. So there was a period of about 2 years back in 2011 and in 2020, the COVID year. These are the 2 periods of my life where I can say almost for a year or 2, I have only done one thing, which is work. So anytime I'm re-establishing a new form in my work, then I go a little obsessive because I feel like, they say that when a rocket takes off, it uses up 90% of its fuel in the first 10% of the journey and then 10% of the fuel for the 90% of the journey. So if you are in your first 700 days of life, then I just want you to know that, that first 700 days needs that level of hard work. So don't try to balance the first 700 days. Get your first 700 days under your belt so that everything gets structured and set. And then after that, I'd love for you to see if and how you want to bring balance back. All right. Kritima Kumari, Puja, I have quitted my job as a CA yesterday and will start the journey as a slide coach. I don't know what slide means, but a lot of nervousness. What if I don't give much time and speed, which I want to, as my son is 2.5 years old? So Kritima, had I been sitting inside my room, I would have shown you a beautiful tortoise that sits on my table. And the reason I keep that on my table is because I have this concept called divine delay. Divine delay is basically this concept that, everything is happening at its perfect time, and that our trust in time is far more important than trying to rush things up. Sometimes we get into the rat race of life, or we look at other people succeeding faster than us, and we forget that everybody is working their own timeline, and that apna time aayega, And I feel like in that period, sometimes we can feel like this, that, what if I'm not able to make it? What if my speed and time is not as per the requirement? But in my life, what I've noticed is that the more I rush, the more masculine I become. And what happens when you rush in time is joy leaves you. So either you can do things at your own speed with joy, or you can do things at the rushed speed, and then there will be no joy. Imagine anything in life, okay? Imagine doing your makeup peacefully and lovely or in a rushed manner. Can you enjoy when you are in rush? And a lot of us are living life in rush. And I feel like the minute I move into rush, I lose my joy. So the most important question that I need to ask myself every night before I sleep is, was I in my joy? Was I in my peace? These are the two most important questions I love re-examining, especially joy, because there's a need or there is a timeline that the world puts on you that you start to feel like if you don't follow it, then you will be left behind. While the truth is, I'd rather you be joyful and slow than be rushed and successful, because rushed and successful eventually makes you reach the destination. But when you reach the destination, you realize it wasn't worth it because you removed joy from the journey. I hope that makes sense. So don't worry at all, sweetheart. Very soon your son will be going to proper school. Very soon you'll have a lot more time in the first half of the day. Very soon you will start to establish regular routine once he sleeps the whole night. So now is the time where your child will now start to get his own routine, and the more routine he has, the more routine you will be able to have. So you're now moving into a far better place, because the first 2 years of the child is when it's the hardest for the mother to have a set routine. The mom update. Whenever I visit my mom's place, she gives me a lot of gifts. I keep telling her to give me things that I need and want, but she becomes really adamant and pressurizes me to take everything, which makes me... I totally understand what you're saying, because each one of us has our own love language, okay? And we express love through our love language. I have a love language of words of appreciation. Puneet has a love language of acts of service. My mom has a love language of gifts. So she likes to receive gifts. She likes to give a lot of gifts. And I keep telling her the same thing. Like, my love language mein 5 love languages hote hain. The 5th one is gift for me. So gifts actually is something I don't like receiving. Like, literally I can tell you this. It's the last on my list. But from her I take, and I'll tell you why I take from her, because this is how she knows how to express love. And when I used to keep refusing it, at one point I realized what I was doing was I was cutting off. It's like when your man doesn't receive your love your way, or when we don't give people love the way they want to receive it, then what we do is we distance ourselves. So with a Chinese person, you will make the effort to speak in Chinese to be understood. With a Japanese person, you will make the effort to speak in Japanese with that person, right? The same way, once you understand someone's love language, my suggestion is open yourself up to receive, not for her, but not for yourself, but for her. You can almost maintain a carton, okay? If you don't like what she's giving you, or if you feel like it's not of any use to you, keep it in the carton. Let the carton get collected. Maybe eventually you can further pass it to someone else who you think it will be useful for. Or you can let her know that, you know what, some things I've kept and some things I'm not going to be keeping, or whatever. That way what happens is, at least it will remove this negativity that currently has come about whenever you're going to her place. Because you're starting to feel like, hey, pata nahi kya pakda degi. And she's already starting to feel like, you know, कि वो तो मेरा प्यार ही नहीं लेती, मैं तो उसको इतना देना चाहती हूँ, मुझसे कुछ लेती ही नहीं है. And that can become it can be a problem for no reason. So one of the things I have started doing in my life is ask myself, what's this person's love language? And then started to receive through their love language. I don't care about gifts at all. But anybody who will give me a gift, I will make a special effort to thank them now, because I understand that it's their love language. Okay? And if I don't thank them, if I don't acknowledge, if I don't appreciate, then just the way I love receiving things in my love language, if I can learn the art of giving things to people in their love language, it becomes so much more meaningful connection. Okay, like my older son's love language is quality time. Whenever he comes to India, when we will come out of our room at 5 o'clock, he will be sitting on the sofa waiting for us. And I'll be like, what are you doing here? He's like, no, best is to catch you at 5 in the morning, because you're normally free till 8 o'clock. Then after that, you and dad will get busy. How beautiful. Like, he understands his love language, and instead of me getting irritated or me getting upset, now I'm like, look, he knows his love language. Look at the effort he's putting in to spend time with us. How beautiful is that? Correct? Earlier I used to be like, चिपक रहा है, सारा वक्त ही चिपका हुआ है. No. Why are we judging people for the way they want to express love to us? Let's become open containers of receiving. You know, a lot of us have been taught to give, but we haven't been taught to receive. And unfortunately, when you don't know how to receive, you tend to then at some point become bitter and resentful. Okay, and you want to be so careful of not carrying that energy. So just open up your vessel of receiving and say, you know what? To honor the other, I shall receive in their love language. And see if that works for you in the world. It has really worked well for me. So I'm just sharing exactly with you what I have been doing and something that's worked. Neeti D. Gupta. Hi Puja, can you shed some light on addiction? I'm getting a lot of clients with addiction problems. So Neeti, I'm a student of Dr. D. Martini, and Dr. D. Martini has this concept that when you don't live in your highest values, you live in addictions. What does that mean? When you are not doing what your soul was meant to do, your highest purpose, something that fulfills you, something that gives you a high, then you numb yourself because you cannot experience happiness through the route that you were supposed to take. Then you start to experience happiness through the distractions of life. So whether it's pornography, or it is smoking, or it is drinking, or it is drugs, or it is shopping, or it is social media, or it is video games, or it is... Today the number of addictions are far greater. You know, actually even success is an addiction to a certain extent if somebody is overdoing it till death. Like, there are doctors in America that are so overdoing the overworking that actually they don't even realize at which point they themselves have a cardiac arrest. So you have to be so careful about all of these things because there's a very thin line. Okay, so when I'm working with someone who has an addiction, instead of working with the addiction, I love working with what gives you joy and happiness. You know, what are the things that are important to you in your life? If you had to, you know, really create a life from scratch, what are the things you would love to do? And then help them go on a journey of that, because when you are in your highest value, you do not need anything else to compensate you. And anytime you have an addiction, at one point I was an emotional eater because I was so overdoing work that in the evening I used to feel like I deserve the aloo chaat, I deserve the bhujia, I deserve, you know, I made this connection that, oh, I work so hard. And I realized that it was just an imbalance that was creating another imbalance. And so you just want to help these people get back into what are they numbing themselves from. If they were not addicted, what would they be doing? Some people don't have clarity, some people don't have consistency, some people don't have courage to live their path. If you can help them with their courage, clarity and consistency and go deep with each one of these to figure out what is it that they would instead do and get them on track, very quickly you will notice you will not even need to have the conversation around the distraction. Sonny Kuri. Oh, Sonny Kuri. I am joining the 21-day challenge of money manifestation. I have in real started to get those stuff and I'm buying it. Also, it's really helping me be positive. I'm so happy to hear that, darling. For all of you here who love my money manifestation challenge and haven't yet tried it or have enjoyed it and would love to repeat it, let us know in the comment box under this video today and we'll put you off in the November batch of money manifestation. Jai Shri Sharma 22. Hi Pooja, I'm a pure vegetarian and the person I'm talking to is a non-vegetarian. I am disciplined and he is not, and the other differences are there too. Do you think we can create a good bond? So Jai Shri, it all depends on your ability to respect the difference. So sometimes these differences can create havoc and sometimes these differences can be a very mature way of dealing with life, that these are his choices, his preferences, these are my choices, my preferences. What I have noticed in life is even when you marry a person who is similar to you, within the similarities there are differences. I'll explain that to you. My husband and I both love eating out. I'm just giving you an example. He actually doesn't like eating out, but let's say my husband and I both love eating out, but I love Chinese, he loves Indian. We both love going for movies, but he likes action, I like romantic. So what I have noticed in life is what you need to match is a value system match, which means money, family, life, goals. If these things are similar, the intricacy of the differences don't matter. For example, for both my husband and me, family is very important. For both my husband and me, work ethic is very important, right? He is the disciplined one. I am the spontaneous, flowy energy. I am that very extreme feminine who loves to get up and go, what is going to be my day's plan today? And then plan the day accordingly. I don't need to have a to-do list to follow. While he has a to-do list for the day, for the week, for the month, and follows it to the T, right? So we're different in our personalities, but we can get along completely because I can respect the way he operates in life and he does the same for me. He's not looking down on my productivity or my achievements just because I have a flowy energy rather than a disciplined, organized energy. So it all depends. If you are judgmental of him being non-veg, if you are judgmental of his energy and the differences, don't be with him. It will only create further disruption. But if you are feeling like, you know what, no matter who I marry, we are not going to be the same. We are not meant to be the same. Actually, a couple together is supposed to highlight to each other the differences so that the other can work on it. How else will you improve? If the only thing I am is who I am already, then how will I improve? It's actually looking at your spouse that you realize there are some things that are amazing, there are some things that are not. And it's the amazing things that you can actually adopt over time, which makes your combination so much more complete. You don't have to become more of him and her, but you can definitely complete your wholeness by picking up on some of those qualities which are amazing in your man or in your woman, right? So I'd love for you to look at the most important thing is it a non-negotiable or is it something that I can accept? Whatever I can accept, I will accept because there will always be something that will not be a match. But if it's a non-negotiable, then you don't want to be with this person because there are some things that I will just not be okay with. And if I know that it's something that I'll just not be okay with, then I shouldn't marry that person because for the rest of my life, I will be having that as a issue between us. Starlet Shruti, ma'am, how do you stop feeling so lost in life? Starlet Shruti, one of the things I teach and do myself a lot is something called the passion test, where I write down what are those 10 things that if my life was perfect, this is how it would look like. If my life was absolutely ideal, what would I be living, doing, being, having? And I make a list of all those things. I just did that yesterday for the year 2025 for myself. And I made a list of almost 11 things that I wanted in my life or choose to do, and then I looked at how many of these, so I chose my top 5 out of it. Out of the top 5, I wrote down what are all the actions I need to take for this to be a 10. Okay, so some was operating at 4. Let's say I want to be, by 2025, I want to be a certain weight, right? So I wrote down that these are the things I'm going to have to do for the next 75 days for me to enter 2025 at that weight that I want to be at. Same way like that, I made a whole plan. And I feel like you're lost because you haven't given yourself a beautiful direction. When you don't have a direction, every direction is a lost energy. But if you have a direction to life, and sometimes you don't need 10 goals to be having clarity or having a purpose in life. You can just have one goal. Even if your goal is just every day, I want to just learn to be happy. And I will do whatever it is to make myself happy. And so then one day you go shopping, and one day you hang out with friends, and one day you do deep connections, and one day you waste away the time, and one day you're super productive, and one day you are doing clutter-free work at home. It'll become a nice combination of just making sure that every day I'm happy is such a beautiful way of living life, isn't it? So I feel like whenever someone is lost, it's just because they haven't given themselves a direction. Give yourself a direction and see how beautiful life can be. You can literally make life a game, and just make it a lot of fun. I feel like today we live in a world where we've just removed the joy and fun of life, and we are wondering why are we such a depressed society or such a sad society, because we're taking life too seriously. I feel we're taking life too seriously. I think we need to bring in a lot more fun and joy. Vibrant life. Each day, what is that one ritual which keeps your energy so positive? I mean, it has to be gratitude, hands down. I mean, gratitude is something I've done from 2016 or 2015, almost every single day. And I feel like it's my alignment and my compass of life. So I love to look at and examine my life through the eyes of what am I complaining about? And whenever I find something that I'm complaining about, I ask myself, can I do something about it? If I can do something about it, then I love having agency over it, or I love taking responsibility that, you know what, instead of complaining, I'm going to do something about it. If I can't do anything about it, then I love to shift it to my gratitude list. You know, I love to start to having gratitude towards it. Because if I can't change something, then I must learn to love that. It doesn't have to be love in terms of being fake, okay? But it can be love in terms of understanding that what you can't change, if you keep on throwing negative energy at it, then it'll also keep throwing negative energy at you. So it's better that you accept it and make the best of the cards dealt to you, rather than continuously criticizing, complaining and blaming, which makes your entire vibrational level so weak. Let me give you an example. Yesterday was raining in Chennai, and my husband, who was leaving for Vietnam, couldn't leave. He couldn't go because it was such heavy rain and all of that stuff, and his trip got cancelled. And we were sitting in the evening and I said, come, let's open a bottle of wine and let's drink wine to the fact that you stayed back. And you know what? I get an extra evening with you because of, you know, you're not being able to go. And we turned it into something that we didn't have any control over it. So we said, instead of focusing on the fact that you couldn't go, you missed your golf game, you were not able to, why don't we just make the evening super amazing? So I got yummy, delicious peanut butter noodles made, and with a glass of wine. I only drink in October. For those of you who know that I don't drink the whole year, but only in the month of Diwali. So a glass of wine and noodles, and it was just such a perfect, beautiful evening. So I'd love for you to start to look at what are those things that you could have complained about, but if you just move it to your gratitude list, you'll be amazed that if we decide to look at that same incident, the same situation with the eyes of gratitude, our entire energy towards that thing changes to a point where you can literally be positive about something that was supposed to be completely negative. So it's a pretty cool thing to do. So either change what you can or put it in your gratitude list. Fabulous. Oh, so sweet. My love language is words of appreciation and physical touch. What to do so that you are not taken for granted in corporates by your peers and your seniors. So Style Click, the whole thing is the game of boundaries. Okay, so being more and more clearer around your boundaries is very important. Now, when you have to set boundaries with your peers, it's not so difficult because it's at an equal level. So you can let them know what they can and cannot make you do. But when it comes to your boss, it'll be much harder to set boundaries because the way our work culture is, a lot of times it's very difficult to say no to your boss. So you may want to put in requests in advance on what's okay and what's not okay with you. So if you can, whenever he is making you do something that you are not happy about, instead of complaining, grumbling or anything else, let him know what would be the right way for him to approach you. So you know what, sir, if you'd like me to stay overtime, if you can let me know 2 days in advance, that'll be very helpful because my grandmother, who's not well, has a lot of doctor's appointments that I take her for. Whatever your story or whatever your thing is, I'm just giving you an example because I will not be able to stay back the next time you request me. Do it that time, but set the setting for next time. A lot of times when we decide to do it that time, we forget to set the base for the next time. So you're always you're always training the other person on what is okay, what is not okay. A lot of times what happens is we think they should know, but the truth is they don't know. So we haven't communicated it neither clearly enough sometimes or not communicated it at all. And we want the other person to imagine our situation. Can't happen, right? So you want to make sure that you start to set clearer boundaries. Now, one of the things I learned in my life on how to set boundaries is what I call the sandwich technique. The first sentence of the sandwich technique is normally for me to say, thank you so much for thinking about me for this work. So you're literally appreciating, or it's basically a Karela sandwich. So the bread is sweet, the down bread is sweet, but there's a Karela in the middle. Okay. So thank you so much for thinking about me for this work. However, you know what? Today I'm already overcommitted. So is it okay if I do this over the weekend? That's where you set your Karela boundary. And then the bottom bread is, however, you know what? I think I should be able to do it by Sunday. So again, a nice sentence. Or, you know what? I think we can even include Divya into this. Let's get Divya, me and Roshni to do this. So what you're doing is you're setting the boundary in the middle with two compliments above and below. Okay. For example, let's say a friend of mine is asking me to go for a movie with her. I'll say, oh, thank you so much for thinking about me, for taking me for a movie. But today I'm already committed to a birthday party. But how about on Saturday? On Saturday, I think I will be free. Let's watch this movie on Saturday. So I've made it possible also. I've not said a full no also. But I am, a lot of us are people pleasers by personality. The sandwich technique somehow works like magic when you are a people pleaser, which means you don't want to upset anybody. And the intention is not to not do something. The intention is to do it as per your convenience. Okay, people who do a lot of work eventually become the top players in a corporate culture, correct or no? So you want to be able to take a lot more at work, but you don't want to be stifled with too much work either, right? So you want to start to space it out. So learn to do spacing through the bread at the end. If sometimes you feel like you need to say a no, then you can even say a no right in the end, that you know what, this doesn't come under my scope of work. I'm so sorry, I will not be able to do this. Why don't you contact the accounts team for this? So the last sentence is again being helpful. So the first sentence is, thank you so much for thinking about me. This doesn't come under my scope of work. Why don't you contact so you're still remaining helpful. Do you want me to contact the accounts team for this? You're going out of your way to still remain helpful, but yet setting your boundaries very clearly. Now, the reason I like to follow the sandwich technique is I just feel it's a softer way of setting boundaries, especially with people who are above you, your seniors. Pallavi Mehta. Hi Puja, if at one time I get too excited about creating content and figure about everything, but the other day I feel lost and question whether I want to do it also and whether it is right also, how to come out of it. Pallavi, this contradiction is a very normal contradiction in the life of creators. Okay, so I just want you to know that I have days where I will be super excited about what I'll be creating, and then I'll be days like, why did I exactly commit to this work? So I have realized that there is an inner monkey that lives inside of me that loves to play these games with me, and my job is to manage my inner monkey and know that, you know what, it doesn't have a intelligent mind, it just has a monkey mind. And once you realize that your monkey mind is going to keep playing these games with you, then you stop indulging in the monkey mind. Rather, you start to laugh and smile when the monkey mind shows up, because now you know the character of the monkey mind, and you know that it's going to do something where it's not going to let you be consistent at what it is you do, because every morning it wakes up with a different mood, a different energy, and you want to not be slave to your monkey mind. You want to be the master of your monkey mind. So how do you come out of it? First, by acknowledging that it's your monkey mind, so that you realize and distance yourself that this is not my thought, this is the thought of the monkey. And then by doing something, getting into action, so that the monkey mind can be looked after. You see, you cannot sit and logically convince the monkey mind, because the monkey mind doesn't have intelligence. So you cannot have an intelligent conversation with the monkey mind and say, you know what, you shouldn't be saying this to me today. Today is such an important day for me to create, and here I am now in no mood to create. No point having that conversation. All you need to do is sit down with your book and pen and start creating, and just ignore the monkey mind. It will keep jumping for 5-7 minutes, after which automatically it will settle down. So one of the things I've seen, especially for me, what I'm telling you for your creation, it happens to me with my exercise. So 2-3 days I'll be super excited about exercising, and then on day 4 somehow my whole body will be hurting and I just don't want to. And I know that the day I'm feeling like the least desire to do it is the most important day for me to beat my monkey mind, because if my monkey mind learns to beat me, then I am going to be in the hands of my monkey mind, which is a very dangerous place to be in. So I'll just put on my shoes and say, okay, today I won't do a 1-hour walk, but I'll just go for 15 minutes so that I don't break my pattern of walking and every morning changing my clothes and putting on my sports shoes and whatever. I'll just go for a 15-minute walk, but I'm not going to miss my walk. And that's my way of overcoming that monkey every day in different ways, in different spaces. Yeah. Shami, how do you coach someone who is living under extreme fear of losing her near and dear ones post-COVID? She can't sleep more than 3 hours at night, has an alcoholic husband and is a mess. She's self-medicating. A person like this, I would like to take her to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't think I'd like to leave this at a coaching level. Having said that, I do believe that a lot of people have a lot of anxiety around death, especially post-COVID. And one of the ways that I help my clients to get over it is to build a lot more faith and divine power in their personality. What do I mean by that? In life, you can give up something in the materialistic world to receive it from the spiritual world. So what do I mean by that? Every religion, whether it is Christianity that has Lent or Islam that has the Rosas, or us, we have Navratri and so many other fastings. Jains are fasting all the time. That is one of the ways when you give up something that matters most. Food is one such example. I don't drink the whole year. Give up alcohol. You can give up non-vegetarian food. You can give up whatever you would like to give up. When you give up something, you can use that as a divine protection on the people you love. So if you've heard of the concept of people do chalya, for 40 days, if my wish comes true, then I would like. So there's a barter that happens, which is, some people think of it as a bribe. I think of it like a salary. Like you work the whole month to receive a salary at the end of the month. Can I do something to let God know that this person is very important to me? Rather, this Sunday is Karwa Chauth, and Karwa Chauth is one of the most beautiful festivals when you look at it from the right angle. Now it does have a regressive energy also, but that is because at one point a woman's life was completely dependent on her man, which is not true today. So therefore I like to pray for my man's long life, a happy life more than a long life, because I don't need his money or his anything for my survival. I just want to love him, right? So I'll just pray for a happy life for him instead of a long life for him, because this is not about why should he live longer than me or any such competition that I'm trying to have or pray for his long life. May, till the time he's alive, may he be healthy, may he be happy, may he live a very quality filled life. That's more my prayer for Karwa Chauth. So I've changed the prayer a little bit, but I still love the festival a lot. So the same way she can start to do things that give her power. How does a woman get her power, or how does a human being get her power? From the spiritual energy. See, there are few decisions God hasn't left to us. So when we worry about that is not in our control, we are going to be forever worried, because there's no way you can control someone's life and death. That is one decision God hasn't left to us. But now that we know that that's a decision that God has in his hands, we can request him, right? So we can tell him how important this decision is by giving up something in the materialistic world so that we can receive it back in the spiritual world. So I feel like a lot of us humans use this tool or a technique to be able to control things that are not in our control, for God to know how important something is for us. If it works for you and you have that kind of faith and surrender, try it. I feel like for me, it always is a tool to build my own willpower, my own self-discipline. And the higher my willpower and self-discipline, the higher my vibrational frequency. The higher my vibrational frequency, the more I'm in alignment with God. When I'm in alignment with God, I feel divinely protected by God. So you can give it the scientific route, or you can give it the religious route. But I just feel like help her build a lot more faith in something beyond herself. There are parts of our life that are in our control, and there are parts of our life that are not in our control. And whenever in life we will try to control that is not in our control, we are going to have what we call the sleepless nights. So sleepless nights ka answer, or the sleepless, why we have sleepless nights, is we are trying to control something that's not in our control. So learning to live in faith and surrender, learning to live believing that you're a special child of God, that God will do whatever it takes to protect you, and that every decision of His will be for you, not against you. When you start to believe at a a core value or faith level in all of these sentences, you start to operate from a very different energy in life, which is why spiritual people have a lot more power in life than people who are only materialistic. What books are you currently reading, Puja? I'm actually currently reading a book which is a fiction book. I have joined a book club, and let me see if I can show it to you. It just came in day before. I'm only sitting on page 3 of that book. I can't remember the name, so I'm gonna just open it on my phone and just check. It is called None of This Is True. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. So it's a I rarely read fiction books, but I love thrillers. So if you love thrillers, it's a book I can recommend. If you are more looking for a book on self-help, I have so many around. Let me see if I can find something and share with you. I normally these days read 3 to 4 books together, different topics. I'm looking for a particular chapter on a particular topic which I will be reading the book for. I rarely now read a self-help book cover to cover. Gauri, my husband wants to live abroad, but my parents want me to live here. I love all of them. I am confused. What should I do? So Gauri, I'm a big believer that your parents need to do things for each other. You and your husband need to do things for each other. And your children tomorrow should be doing things for their partners. Whenever we break the energy of this system, and any couple that starts to prioritize somebody outside of their coupling, then you are following the wrong route of the river. So while I want you to have complete respect for your parents and complete love for your parents, I want you to be one with the person that you are married to. Unless he's being unreasonable or he's asking you to do something that is just criminal by law or just unacceptable to you at a value system, we should try our best to be our biggest supporters of our partners. So whether my husband moves to Timbuktu, I will go with him there, or he moves to, I don't know, Las Vegas, I'll move with him there. And while I will keep on reassuring my parents that I will come back, I will visit them, I will do whatever it takes to be in touch, but the choice is going to be around what my husband has to say. Now, ideally, your parents should be supporting you and your husband when they especially know this is your husband's decision. So ideally, they should not have to put you in a position of choice. They should be supporting you to say this, that you know what, sweetheart, we would love to have you here. However, if you need to go with him, then we'd rather you go with him. And if that's not happening, that's the first thing I'd like you to question on why is it not in that manner. Because once a daughter and a son get married, then the ideal prioritization that works best in a couple is of each other. Not him of his mother and not you of your parents. Ooh, 10:58. Okay, let's quickly take a picture. I'd love to know what was your biggest takeaway. All you need to do is under this video, let me know what was your biggest takeaway once I post it on my wall. Or you can even take a picture right now and share your takeaway in your stories so that I can share it in my stories. Love you all. Thank you for coming. Ooh, that's a lot of drama. Awesome. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy yourselves. I'm calling this month the month of joy. I feel like this is the month where we should be focusing a lot more on people rather than our work. So see if you can shift your energy to really making everybody that comes into your life this week, every day, see if you can make them feel special. I think all of us deep down at soul energy level want importance. Imagine if everybody walked around with on their forehead written, I'm important, and if you could read that, or please give me importance, then when we walk around the world, rather than snatching or desiring importance, we start to give importance. Guess what comes right back at us? Importance. So my suggestion, see if you can give importance this whole week. Every single person you meet, find something that you can acknowledge, appreciate, validate, love. Just see if you can start to do that. When you develop the eyes of loving people rather than judging people, your entire life and energy changes, hai na? Alright, on that note, I'm so sorry if I was not able to answer your question. It is not because I do it purposefully. It's only because there are just so many questions. If you just look at the chat box, it is going to be filled with questions. So my personal apologies if I didn't reply to you, if I didn't answer your questions. I swear I don't do it purposely. Yes? I will see you next Wednesday, of course. What time will it be? Normally 10 o'clock. I hope so. Next Wednesday, 10 o'clock. I have no idea what the date is also. But I think I should be very much here. 23rd, I think. I will see you next Wednesday, 10 o'clock. Let's keep it like that. Yeah? Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Loads of love.